3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Luke, tell us, what's your 1%? How would you recommend people go that little bit better every day?
I think my 1% is try and make someone smile every day. It sounds pretty simple, but yeah, and it's something I've tried to do consciously, I suppose, for a couple of years now and I don't even remember where I came across it, but I remember somebody saying it's a good way to just, put a smile on someone's face and you've done something good for the day where you've made someone feel better. And some days it can be simple. You notice that one of your colleagues has got a new hairdo and you compliment that, they smile, they feel good. Other days you pick up something in the supermarket for someone who's dropped it, or just little things like that. Or it might be that, you do go out of your way to do something a bit bigger, but it puts that smile on someone's face. And I think for me, it's more rewarding for me usually when you see that smile, but makes you feel good and makes them feel good.
Definitely. Those small acts of random kindness will change the world.
Yeah.
And making someone smile is very much that. And that almost harks back to Greg Wing's episode from season 2, I think it was now, where he spoke about the power of just smiling.
Yeah.
So, can totally relate. Look, guys, if I hope you're getting something out of this episode and episodes that we've had in the past. We'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on all the socials. Mate, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Who are you? We haven't done it yet this season, but what are your dad's stats? Anything else that you'd like to share about you?
Yeah, okay. Well, start with the dad stats. I've got 4 kids, but also now got 4 grandkids. Age now, so I sort of got a bit of practice at it. Yeah.
Might have to pick your brain on that a little bit, mate. I'm only 9 months in, so there's a lot of stuff to learn apparently, and not many good books written on how to be a dad. But
I suppose with that, there's no one way to do it. It's adaptive, and you learn. And 4 kids, and all different. Very different between 1 and 4, and you've got to parent differently for each kid, and there's no manual.
What do you do for crust?
So last 2 years I've been a regional development manager with the Department of State Growth, but started life as a cadet journalist, and next week it'll be 35 years since I started my cadetship straight out of school. I'm probably the part of the back end of the last generation where you walked out of school, you walked into a job, and that's how it happened for a lot of my classmates and me. And that sort of finished in the late 80s. I think there weren't many after my generation where you did that or as consistently did that. And but took an opportunity. I'd always liked writing and liked English, and was given an opportunity to start a newspaper cadetship, and it set me on a course for a lot of interesting work over the last 35 years, and gave me skills that I didn't know I'd ever have and the like. But getting down the track with that after working for all 3 daily newspapers in Tasmania over the period, and I decided it was time for a change when I was working with the Mercury newspaper, and was lucky enough to be asked whether I was interested in working in politics, and landed a job as Chief of Staff with Sid Sidebottom when he was federal member after Kevin Rudd won the 2007 election. And up to that stage I thought I'd probably be a newspaper man forever and the like. But yeah, I had I suppose, a brush with cancer that year, and sort of reassessed life and said, no, I'm going to take an opportunity if it comes up. And yeah, so that got me into the political field, where I met a lot of really interesting people, really smart people on both sides of politics, but particularly, some of the ones, and including the bloke who's now Prime Minister in that, as well as Kevin Rudd, Julia Gillard. So, but through the media, I've also met all the previous Liberal Prime Ministers back to John Howard and had a chance to talk to them. So, yeah, it's been an interesting ride that way as well.
It's interesting with your 1%er, your focus now is on that Smile one, which is only sort of from a couple of years ago, but you've had such a long journey and, high pressure for a long time. So previous to the 1%er, what sort of stuff did you find was helpful for you, I suppose?
I think having, good friends and knowing who they are and, having strong support. And, my number one supporter is my wife. She has been for 30 years and will be for a lot longer and the like. But also, I think at some stage I realised that, and another former Prime Minister said, life's not meant to be easy. And I realised that not every day is going to be great. If you think that life's going to be roses and perfume every day of the year, then, you're going to come tumbling down pretty quickly. And when I realised that and thought, hang on, today's not been good, but let's make tomorrow better, I think things improved for me that, I could generally see the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's like that, was it with Ben that we sort of mentioned that, you got to have some shit days to have some good days, so, or to know that you're having good days, don't you? So you've got to experience the spectrum of life, I guess. Yeah.
And and I think, when you've had rubbish days and had that, it helps you to recognise when things are good as well and the like, but hopefully also that you can recognise, okay, I'm having too many bad days. What do I need to do to dig myself out, or get friends to help dig me out?
Yeah, and I think Lockie also mentioned it as well in his talking about that. Almost the community perception in a lot of young people, or I shouldn't just say young people, a lot of people, they think that good mental well-being, and I think with Lockie we were talking about resilience, like the idea of resilience. I think it's that ability to understand that there's going to be shit days, but there's also going to be good days, and obviously they'll average themselves out to just being, you just average. You can't always be good. Going back to talking about your career in politics. So I sort of know you from your career in journalism, beyond obviously that time in the political space, but that must have been immensely stressful. I'm assuming you had some opportunities to meet, well, you mentioned you had some opportunities to meet some really high level people, but I also imagine it would have come with a great deal of stress. How did you manage that time with what I assume would have been a youngish family or a growing family? Yeah.
And that was, I suppose part of one realisation for me was that, there was too much toll on my family at the time, and why after one election, I thought that's enough for me. And that's the weight that I think is on particularly politicians who have staff members whose jobs rely on them. And the day they call an election, everybody's job's on the line. It's not just that MP that sits in the office and gets paid. They've got staff members who are only guaranteed a job while they are in office. And I suppose as the head of the office at the time, felt a fair bit of that pressure too when we went to an election. And I did take too much of that stress on probably, and it weighed on me a lot because in a 5-week election campaign where you're working flat out for 5 weeks to make sure that your boss has still got his job, it's also in the back of your mind that your job's on the line as well. And at the time in 2010, I had a 12-month-old and a 5-year-old, as well as 2 teenagers. And it was pretty heavy, thinking that, in a few weeks' time I might be out the door and looking for it. And, I was relatively confident that there'd be something around the corner, but if we hadn't have got
manage, do you recall what you would have done back then to look after yourself beyond what you've sort of, was there anything beyond just being with mates and that kind of stuff?
back then it was very heavy. I was pretty much flat out there, but a few times getting away and getting around a few of the mates at the been really lucky to be involved with Surf Club for the last 21 years and rowing surf boats. And when you're out in a boat and it's just you and the water, and for usually really good blokes that you're out there with, or sometimes, for pretty cool chicks, it's a way to get away from everything. You get out there and you might get smacked by a couple of waves or whatever, but it helps you to switch off from everything else. And I remember a couple of times where I just dropped everything, went down the club, jumped in a boat or went for a swim or whatever, and just got away from it. And I think that was pretty important to me, to be able to do that and to switch off and get away from the hustle and bustle.
Understanding what that is for yourself, like whether that be the surf boat or just getting in the water, or whether it be going to a skate park and jump on a skateboard or whatever it is, but understanding that and being able to implement it is like a really good tool, I think, for everyone. Like I think everyone's got that and need that, but it's just understanding it and knowing what it is. So
finding that download space, whatever it is super important. And it doesn't matter what your job is or what you do, whether it's same goes for people who are at home caring for family. Spend an hour and a half in the pool, and just gives you time where there's nothing else apart from a chance to sort your thoughts out and think about where things are at.
It's probably a good segue into just asking a little bit more, mate, about what else do you do? Like, I know I've sort of asked about what you've done in the past, but what are you currently doing now to look after, I won't say mental health, but your mental well-being?
It is taking that time to download and think about it. And I suppose my current role, I'm very deliberate about work and life outside work, and close the door metaphorically on the office and walk away from work when it's not work time, so I can go and focus on other things. And there's plenty of other things that I do. I'm still involved with the surf club. I've played hockey for about 40 years on and off, and I'm taking on a coaching role with my club this year. But I'm also the chair of the Big Committee, which is part of Burnie Works, and Big's all about showing kids in this region that there's so many opportunities here or in the big wide world. And when we get people to speak to kids about what they've done with their life, or we go into a classroom full of grade 5s and just talk to them about what they might want to do, and you start to see the lights coming on and you see a bit of aspiration there, it's really rewarding to see that, there's kids in this region that some of them don't necessarily have any role models that work, or that have, jobs that they could aspire to be, but you can show them that, hey, there's plenty of future out there if you get out, get stuck in, have a go at school, and this is the way to get there.
in terms of that, do you encourage your 1%er with them too? Like, and to just make, you're involved with a lot of kids, and I know we've spoken about before how like you can have such a big impact as sort of either that father role or the coach role, the teacher role. I think back early, Belly spoke about the teacher that, spoke to him and just gave him a bit of a what for and pull your head in champ, and like it can be super valuable. Your few bits of advice can really turn that person's life around and stick with them for a long, long time. So do you have that sort of, I suppose, weight on your shoulders with it? You go to there every day and you're like, oh, this little bit could really set this kid up for success.
I probably don't consciously do it, but I love to encourage kids. I was in coffee shop on Friday grabbing a coffee before I hit the road to head to Hobart, and saw a young kid who I knew would be competing in the surf carnival that they've had at Burnie today, and he's a real goer. And I just said to him, I said, "Oh, are you keen for Sunday?" And he just looked up at me and smiled, and I said, "You'll go hard, you'll be right." And I got a smile out of him and that, and he's a good kid, and I had a quick look at his results today, and did really well for a kid that's he's only relatively new to being a nipper with the club, but he's had a great day, had some good results and the like, and next time I see him at training, I'll just check in with him and the like, and I think just doing whatever you can to encourage and inspire a kid's really important.
You've spoken a little bit about club culture, like clubs, being a part of clubs, and also about your mates. How does that sort of social connection fit in with you from a mental health perspective? Is it something that you've thought about as being something that you do, or is it just something that's always been there?
I've pretty much grown up around clubs and groups, and I think when you get, we came to Burnie 23 years ago, and I pretty quickly connected with, first up, a hockey club through a couple of guys that I'd been in state squads with, and they encouraged me to come along and join their club. So I instantly had a group of friends pretty quickly through that, a couple of them that I already knew and others that I pretty quickly bonded with there. And that also became an environment for the family as well. So we're all part of that. And then, when we joined the surf club, that was another group of friends, and, different connections there. And particularly because the nipper movement's so great, it gave my two older kids a place to call home in Burnie that, they could make some friends and that. And, they've still got friends today that they made 20-something years ago through that. And I think those bonds that you build through those club environments, but also through some of the other involvements that I've had through school associations or organisations like Big, you still have those connections, and they add to your networks of people.
It's definitely a recurring theme there around clubs. We've had a few blokes on pretty heavily involved with the footy clubs around the town, and it's something that I think we probably need to highlight. It's not just footy clubs out there that provide that service, is it?
Any, decent club environment, if you've got good people there, which most do, because you don't find many community sporting clubs where you've not got really genuine, hardworking people that are there for the club because, and they often don't realise it, it's because of the relationships that they build through that and the people that they meet and the things that they get back from it.
Yeah. Is your 1%er something that you've learnt from the club culture and from that sort of community, or is it more something that you picked up from a book or somewhat a mentor or something like that?
I still really don't remember where I heard it, but somewhere I heard that, make someone smile and it makes everybody's day better. And it's really just something that I've tried to do as much as possible since then. So it's just one of those things that you pick up along the way and try and work with.
Do you have any stories of you doing that really stick out in your mind where, like Greg's story where he spoke about he smiled at the lady that was running around the lake and how that impacted her life, etc. Do you have any moments like that from your sort of experience?
Oh, there's probably dozens there, but nailing one down, gets. I do remember a work colleague, and I won't single her out, but I think she was having a pretty rubbish time, and she came into work and she'd been and had the hair done, and most of us blokes, that's not a big deal.
I've never picked that up, not once. Not once have I got that right, I don't think.
But I took a bit of a punt and I said, hair looks great. And you could just see it lift her. And she had a few ups and downs with things at the time, and I think it was just enough to give her that lift and put her back on a even keel for the day.
The reason I ask is it is such a simple thing to do, but unless you can give a story to it, some people might not understand that the beauty is in the simplicity. And it's not so much for you, although it might feel like you're doing it for you, but it's also for those that are around you. And, you know, you just back to Belly's point, like you never know what impact you might be having in someone else's day. And although that person may not have ever acknowledged that it was that moment where you showed that sort of appreciation for her hair, or just you noticed something about her, like she might not acknowledge that was that moment in her day where it like picked her up. You know, like it's not why you're doing it, but like subconsciously that's that thing that's like just helping those around you, like, and it's really important.
Yeah, especially if it's a random stranger, you wouldn't know what they were going to do in the street next. That they've just gone from having the worst day of their life to being, oh, it's probably not so bad, is it? So, and like I said, you never know what you're walking past in the street. So it can be touching without knowing.
Luke, I think we're at a point where we've touched on a lot of really important things. The small things that we can do in our life that help improve our life, but also the lives of others. The importance of connection, being a part of that club environment, and having mates close to us. I think they're my probably key takeaways from this chat. And I hope others that are listening have got something away from this. Is there anything else that you wanted to end on?
Well, I think, that's what we probably worth drawing a line under is, find that connection somewhere. It doesn't really matter whether it's a club or whatever. We've got a good group of mates who we all had kids at a school at the same time, and we, used to get together there when most of particularly the wives were part of the PNF, and then we started, the kids all finished that school, moved on to high school from primary school, but we started going, and a lot of us used to go camping together, and now we just have a friends group where we, ping a message out and say, hey, come to our place Friday night, and we still get together. And I think earlier in the year when I'd had just sit there and chill for a while. So, that connection, no matter where you get it, is super important.
Definitely something that's coming up a few times.
Thanks very much, mate. And that was a great spot to end. Look, if there's been anything that's been triggering out of this episode, we do encourage people to jump on, reach out to a mate, jump on Lifeline 13 11 14, or reach out to a GP. Other than that, we would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on all the socials, to stay up to date with what we're up to. But with that said, thanks, mate. Cheers. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks. Peace.